So do you remember when Sidney Poitier cheated on his wife of 9 years with Diane Carroll for almost a decade? Well, first, before we get into that, because you know we will, we got to talk about the woman he married back in 1950, the mother of his 5 children, yes, 5, not 4, Juanita Marie Hardy. I'll be honest, we don't know much about her outside of what was discussed in interviews with Sidney. Though he said in Jet magazine back in 1966, I have never and will never discuss any woman in my life in print. Okay, so Juanita was a former dancer and a model. She was the New York winner of the Miss Medina contest and also, as well as the Miss Negro Press Photographer contest back in 1950. I couldn't find a lot of details about their courtship nor any information surrounding their wedding, but I do know she is the mother of their 4 daughters, Beverly, Pamela, Sherry, and Gina, and they adopted a daughter named Connie. Throughout their marriage, they lived in a 12-room home in Mount Vernon, New York, which was an interracial community. And I love how back in the day, they would always tell you how many rooms were in the house because that was the sign that we had arrived. Sidney was quoted saying, Juanita was a hell of a lot smarter than I was about many, many things, but it doesn't matter. You can have a smart and beautiful woman and still mess it up. And that he did. He said the tensions in their marriage started occurring more frequently around 1957. And this was due to Sidney roaming around and feeling like he was just on a whole different page from her. He said it was also around then that he started to display obvious signs of neurosis. Now, for those that do not know what neurosis is, let me tell you. So neurosis is a mental condition that is not caused by organic disease, and it involves symptoms of stress, such as depression, anxiety, obsessive behavior, hypochondria, but those with neurosis do not have a radical loss of touch with reality. Sidney felt like he had the responsibility of all of Black people on his shoulders, plus the pressure of trying to maintain this media perfect life, right? No scandal, but scandal would come. So due to his neurosis, his trouble with staying monogamous, his childhood trauma, the weight of the world on him, plus the feelings he had developed for Diane over the last 6 years, all led to the divorce of Juanita and Sidney back in 1965. But when he reflected on her in 1971 to Ebony magazine, he said, I was married once to a wonderful woman who turned out to be a remarkable mother, and if I were the marrying kind, I'd still be married to her. But plot twist, 5 years from him saying that, he would actually marry actress Joanna Simkis, and yeah, we'll definitely talk about that one as well. So if you want to see where this story goes and how it evolves, I suggest you definitely come back tomorrow for another episode of I'll Tell You What. And if you don't know, I'll Tell You What is our daily deep dive at some of the most epic and memorable weddings and marriages that have occurred throughout Black history. And I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you to follow us everywhere that you can, and it is not a bruise, and I will see you tomorrow for another episode